Hello, hi, welcome everyone to Recruiting Live on this Fair Friday. My name is Katrina Kibben and I'm your host of Recruiting Live. So if you haven't been on Recruiting Live before, because I definitely see some new names here, I just want to explain the premise and prepare you for how you're supposed to participate, because Recruiting Live is all about how you guys participate and answering your questions to make sure that this is helpful for you. So we're not going to present any slides. We're not going to go through like a bunch of prepared data points or prepared questions. We didn't prepare any questions. What we're going to do is answer yours. And the way that you ask questions is through the question pane on your GoToWebinar control panel. All you have to do is go to questions. There's a little type here. And if you type in there and click enter, you will send a message directly to me and I'll moderate your question. If you want to give it a test and make sure it works, go ahead and say hi now. I am welcoming all of you, and I want to welcome our very special guests today. Now, if you read the preface for this Recruiting Live, you know that these guys work on technology, and this is a no-pitch zone. So today we're going to talk about referrals, but these two know a ton about it. And yeah, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Hi everyone, nice to meet you. Meet you, I guess. I am Laura Bilazarian. I'm the founder and CEO of Teamable. And my background is that I was an investment banker on Wall Street, where I also did recruiting for our bank and investment banking. I did both. And I worked in private equity in Vietnam, and I actually played rugby for the U.S. women's team, which I hope some of you caught some of that in the Olympics. 3 of my teammates were there. And what we do is we help really high-performing companies. Like, we're really proud of Uber's self-driving car, which is one of our customers that just launched in Pittsburgh. We help them turbocharge their employee referral program by using their employees' social data and better incentives than just referral bonuses.
Did you just use the word turbocharge?
Turbocharge.
Pukar, tell people a little bit about you.
Yeah, hey everybody, my name is Pukar Hamal. I'm one of the co-founders with Laura of Teamable, and my background, I was actually an early employee at this company called TalentBen that was acquired by Monster a couple of years back, and one of the things that I've always been really passionate about was efficient allocation of human capital. I grew up in Nepal, and like I go back every couple of years, and I see like there's a lot of really talented people there that like study economics and all these things that like are taxi drivers. And I come here and like you see like that same inefficiency in human capital, and Teamable is like one of the ways that I was really excited to join Teamable. I was really excited to join Laura in this mission of like helping companies grow and network and push forward that mission of making sure that we have efficient allocation of human capital. Yeah.
Totally. And so while this is a no-pitch zone, I do want to give people a little bit of context about what Teamable is so they know why, well, I'm going to end up talking about why I think Teamable is cool, but I just want to give people like a little preview of why you're different than the average referral program, and then we'll get into those dynamics. People ask questions about referral programs generically. This team has a ton of data that can help you. But go for your two-liner.
On what Teamable is? I just want to talk about employee referrals in general, but so basically what we do is we have employees connect their, what we call their digital memory, which is their email address books, their Facebook friends, their LinkedIn connections, and we find for them the 10 to 100 people that they forgot about or that they never knew did stuff that their company needed. And we make it really, really simple for them to send a message that their recruiting teams have already written for them to those people if they agree with our match. And then we also help gamify it and things like that. But we were definitely students of the best employee referral programs in the world before we made this. And so I want to talk about that rather than pitch Teamable today.
All right, so tell me what makes a world-class referral program.
Sure. So, I have this thing that I wrote, so I need to look at it. But support from this, constant support from the C-suite and the team leads, both, by example and verbally. It's frequent recognition of people that participate in the program, and not necessarily at the point where the hire happens, but earlier, because so many things have to happen for a hire to happen, right? Like the hiring manager has to like them, they have to agree on pricing, like, so, they have to move to Pittsburgh in the case of Uber self-driving car, like so many things, but getting people in the funnel, that's a very valuable thing. We have another thing is competition and teamwork, and so there's this company that, small, no name, but hired two top engineers a month from your Googles, your Microsofts, those companies, and what they did was they put people in cross-functional teams. So, sales, engineering, all these people, and they said if you reach out to 50 people combined, you'll all get Apple Watches, right? Something that everyone could see. So their whole company has Apple Watches, and they just basically hire from that pipeline. Of course, not all 50 people say yes on day one, but reaching out to them, makes them say yes over time when they do. They're sick of whatever they're doing, and they're looking to their next thing. They're coming to them instead of the 5,000 recruiting emails in their, LinkedIn messages and inbox.
So rewards are one of the areas where I remember when we all first started talking, you guys had a lot of kind of surprising data around rewards. And I think that's an area where a lot of people struggle, right? Like, oh, I'll just give everybody $1,000 for referring somebody who gets hired. Cut and dry. Does that make sense, or does that work?
Yes and no, right? Like it works. Financial rewards tend to motivate people that are paid less in general, right? Because people that are paid less care about making rent and that concert that they want to go. Whereas people who are paid more, they care about their reputation, their network, the quality of their network. They like to keep their options open. And so, financial rewards tend to motivate. Like we always have in every, onboarding within a company, we have one person that just fires off messages to everyone in their network, and they have to get banned. And usually that person tends to get it's a pretty good prediction that they're going to get terminated in a few months. Really, it's actually a predictor.
Really?
Because it's just someone that's just sort of, and we know from Yahoo, they have people that have made 2,000, 20,000, referrals through those, older systems where they could just, spray referrals. And, that's not necessarily what you want happening. You want your A players not that everyone's not an A player, but you want your top people reaching out to their network, and those people are gonna care. I had a guy at Facebook, a security engineer, tear up talking about the program at Facebook, and Facebook only hires 3% of their referrals. But the thing that they're frustrated about is that he never finds out what happens to his referrals. So I forgot to mention that in the earlier thing, but this black hole of referrals, that's really super demotivating, and no amount of money can bring that back. And of course, with technical people, finance people, they're calculating the probability too, right? So
yeah,
how your funnel is. If you think about how it goes out times that amount, it's not a lot of money, and then plus, Uncle Sam takes 30%, and so it looks a lot depressing when you actually get it in your check. And so really what's more motivating, and one of our best customers, and they were great before they were our customers, Stripe, and they have no referral bonuses at all. The narrative they use there is, your reward is working with great people. And one of the reasons we're called Teamable is because teams increasingly make stuff happen. It's really hard to be an individual contributor that moves the needle nowadays. You need the creativity and brainstorming of team. And so people are highly motivated to work with great people, but they don't want to risk their reputation. And so finding out, having those people treated really well even if it's a no, it really matters for the long-term viability, and no amount of money can bring that back.
So let's say my pipeline's pretty weak, and I decide that I'm going to run a reputation program or a referral program with no cash value. How do you motivate people? And what have you guys learned about referral motivations?
Yeah, so I mean, leaderboard. It's like the feedback of like the recognition, basically. So it's hey, and swag. Like we have Medallia as a customer. They're doing swag for a certain amount of outreaches, which is a visible recognition, right? Just by the fact that you have that swag, that helps. So it's really making it really simple and clear how to participate, right? And being clear about what you're looking for, and then recognizing, in a feedback loop. So for junior people, they want, make sure their bosses know what's happening and that they're getting that recognition. And then for senior people, make sure that you find a way to let their peers know, they're doing more than the other hiring managers.
Exactly. So it's more about the recognition side for them, like just kind of like the pat on the back than the cash.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and like there's some clever ways to recognize too. So when we launched at Uber's self-driving car division in Pittsburgh, I probably shouldn't say this, but they have like significant equity bonus to hires there, right? And we all know how much people want Uber's equity, right? Like, and really they weren't, these are people that are also racing to build a self-driving car, so they're super busy, right? So they weren't really participating, other than most referrals are people coming to you being like, oh, hey, I heard about Uber self-driving car, can you put in my resume? Yeah. And that's why Facebook only hires 3% of their referrals, is because everyone wants a job at Facebook. Not everyone's qualified, but you're not going to tell your friend, hey man, I don't think you're gonna meet the bar. I'm not gonna put in your resume and help you, right? Like,
right. We don't tell them. We just don't do it.
No, but people do it. Yeah.
Yeah. People dynamics.
But what they did is they had, so first this is really funny. They wanted to do tickets for the first hire, and people were like, they actually put on the math the probability of getting the first hire, and they didn't want to participate. And so what they did was a raffle for 3 $200 gift cards just for people that signed up and messaged one person, and they went crazy for that. And that surprised me, because I was like, that's just not gonna, I can't take credit for that. But the raffle in itself was a recognition format, right? Because it's like reading everyone's name, and then it's like a fun event, that people want to participate in. They did stuff with hoverboards. Luckily, no one died, from the hoverboard. They went off. They had to use them offsite for legal reasons, but yeah.
Well, so it sounds like it's almost like a Vegas game. Like, it's almost like Vegas, right? You choose where you think you have the best probability, and starting to think about, like, the probability to get more participants is worth your time versus trying to get one winner or one specific hire. Is that what you're learning?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think like recognizing, because think about it, people like things that are in their control, and they get demotivated by things that are out of their control. And this is true across like, corporations in general, right? Like, the more political it gets, the more and more people get demotivated, right? Except for the people that are really good at politics. But even they get demotivated, right? No one wants to spend 90% of their time trying to make something happen versus 10% doing it. And so, like, getting small rewards for stuff that's in your control, and recognition and the things you care about in your career, is much more motivating than this far off, and then he has to stay for 3 months and all that stuff. So it's like this super far off dream thing versus, and that say you do get 10 people to submit a resume for business development, right? only one of them getting hired. So you just demotivated 9 people too in some way.
And Greg just added, targeting a group of 15 to 20 strong profiles always gives better results than a broad list of 50, which I think we've all figured that out at some point. It's whenever people try, do you guys see the same? So he had a follow-up question. I could have read that before I started cutting him off. He's like, do you see the same kind of result? Like having 20 really, highly referred versus 50 applies? Are we seeing better results on those?
Yeah, so we're seeing, so the way Teamable works is that the recruiters pick the roles. So everyone connects their networks, but we don't be like, hey, you have a match for every single position. You have a match for support for this. They pick the roles where like they're struggling on, right? So your engineering, the people that never apply, the same roles that everyone's having trouble with, the FP&A analysts, the healthcare professionals, the DevOps engineer, the same roles that everyone's struggling with.
We all see in those Inc. magazine headlines.
Yeah. The people that don't apply because either they have jobs or they're political people, so when they go to apply, they go through they do the opposite process, right? Mm-hmm. They go to they go on Indeed, who do I know? Okay, these jobs are open, who do I know at those companies, right? They don't submit a blind application. And so what we see is that like when the recruiters go through their network and pick people and they message them, you're seeing like 20 to close a role or 4 to close it. Like we just did a FP&A analyst at Lyft and they found 4 that had all the qualifications in their network. They messaged 2 and one got an offer and 1 signed. So it's more efficient for sure. But it's more efficient from what we've seen.
Yeah.
Well, if you reduce the numbers of people you're reaching out to, you can improve the quality of your communication, right? So you can either do a mass blast and it's not going to be high quality, or you find the really quality folks and you spend a lot of time with them, and people like that. People just appreciate that you're like have related messaging to their needs and not just this like enormous blast.
Yeah, and that goes back to the reputation thing. So the reason I mentioned I was an investment banker is because, I graduated from a school that was very expensive before. We were socialists and willing to forgive all student debt. So I had to actually pay that myself. So I graduated with a lot of debt. And the referral bonus was, like, in banking, it was like $20,000. This is a while ago. It was a lot of money for some, and banking, you don't actually make that much in your salary, you make it in your bonus. So you're like you're living in New York, like it's pretty rough, but everyone piles up credit card debt and things like, no one feels bad for investment bankers, but it's a little rough for your first year out of school. And I would never refer anyone because I was worried, one about like how they would be treated, and all I knew was people that the bank wanted to hire because I went to UPenn and they all hired, that's who they hired from.
Right.
Or in undergrad, right? Like you couldn't be more direct tunnel to investment banking than that. And the reason but I was more scared about bringing in someone that those people would be like, oh, that guy was an idiot, or that guy didn't pass the technical interview. And so what we do at Teamable is it creates more work for the recruiters, honestly, but it's a more quality thing, is that the recruiters actually go through and pick the people in the employees' networks that they want to talk to instead of asking the employee to do it the other way. And so what that does is that when they go to do a reach out, they know, oh, this is someone that the hiring manager will talk to, right? Because you can't tell from a job description, like you can guess, but there's like things that are, sometimes it's everything in the kitchen sink, but really all they care about is one thing. Sometimes it's like, oh, we take anyone, but really they only want a few companies and things like that. And so recruiters already done that for them. So it makes it, better targeting because 2 people agree, and then better messaging because it comes from a friend.
The other thing, Katrina, is that when the user experience around getting referrals is, it's not conducive to passive candidate recruiting, because when you're asking an employee, do you know anyone that's like a good fit for this role? What the employee is doing is they're thinking about people that are actively looking in their network.
Yes.
They're not thinking about people that are like good. They're thinking about people that are good and looking. And so what the recruiter is actually asking is, who's good in your network. Forget about who's looking.
Yeah.
And if you can do that job of finding the 10 people in someone's network or the 20 people in someone's network that's just good, they're amazing, and you want to develop a relationship with them, that's going to go much farther.
Yeah. It's amazing, like, the stuff that we know that just people don't know. Like, we were at Intuit, not to call them out too, and we sat with their whole payments team, the engineers, and like hiring manager at them. He was like, "Oh, recruiting is a funnel. I never thought of it like that." I was like, "Really?" And these are technical people, that think in probabilities and like numbers and stuff. Like, wow, because that's what we had to put them. It was like, they would say, "Oh, this person's not a match because they're not looking." And we're like, "Just reach out anyway. Invite them to an event. Like, they'll come back in the long run."
Yeah. Well, and when we first met, I had that moment where I was like, oh, because it was like, who's the best baseball player of all time? And your brain has to like kind of ramble, like, well, what are we comparing them on? Okay, who's better, this guy or this guy? Then you have an instant answer. And because you guys kind of circumvent that, instead of going, who's the best baseball player of all time, you're like, this one or this one. People can actually answer the question. And that's referral science at its best in my head. Because you stop all of the probability, right? I'm not swirling like all the people I know that are looking, that are scientists who do this. It's like, how about these 4? So you start somewhere else in the funnel than kind of the full landscape.
Yeah.
So we have a question from Hamal. We actually have a few questions coming in, so let's rip through those real quick because we only have 7 minutes left. So a question about where you tap into the information. She said, for Uber jobs, does Teamable have the capability to tap into the Uber candidate database or just employees that already work there?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. I mean, we do integrate with the ATS and we access that data. But what we found that's interesting, like Lyft is also a customer, is they found Teamable as a good way to source their ATS database because the people that were good that ever came through the funnel, like connected with someone in the company socially, right? Like either through the interview process or after. And so what they see is, we can limit the searching your network to people in your ATS or outside of your ATS. And so they've found that that's a pretty good way to like restart conversations with people that were either lacking experience or didn't accept an offer or things like that.
Yeah, makes sense. Question from Alan Fleur. Thank you for being here, Alan. He said, "What's the best first thing you would tell people to do today to improve an internal referral program besides get Teamable?"
Well, I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I can't say that. Honestly, I would throw like a team session, whatever team you're struggling to find a key hire. I would bring have a lunch with like pizza and get everyone in the room and say like, hey, can you just open your computers and like click through, people on your social networks and, be very clear about what you can give them the searches to do. And like, let's put 20 names on the board and you can even make it simple for that. Let's reach out to them and you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised what happens. Now, some companies, they actually some social networking company that won't say who, they actually lock the door and keep people in and make them do that. But I wouldn't recommend that for the first one. But I think the realization in people's minds that like there are people in their network that they forgot about, and that reaching out to them results in positive responses, like that can really change the attitude. And I mean, if you can't do that, a low-hanging fruit is just sending around, an email with like the jobs that are open and with recognition of people that have been hired through referrals and things like that in the team.
Now, how much does it help to tell people what to say?
A lot.
And so what is most important for you to say?
Like, I'm super proud of our product because there's all this data in it, and I'm telling you that the best thing in our product is that there's a template that people can edit and send with two clicks. Like, and I can tell you, I mean, I was a recruiter in banking, but I didn't have to do like a lot of sourcing. You know, it was more closing and that kind of stuff. Like, I didn't know what to say in a recruiting email for a long time when I was saying this. Like, to us, it's natural. To other people, it's like no idea. No idea what to say. And when it's with friends, you can say all that stuff that like recruiters aren't allowed to say. You know what I mean? Like, hey, not sure if you're looking, but I thought, you know, all that stuff that's like weak for a recruiting email. When it's between friends, you can do that, and they're comfortable with that. But yeah, I can't tell you how many times when we go and have those feedback meetings, they're like, yeah, like I'm so happy for this template because there's no way I was gonna write a message or find the email for the person either. That's another thing that's helpful.
Yeah. Another question from Alan. He said, are you granted access to the HRIS to get to employees directly?
So we use things like Okta for like single sign-on and email sign-on. We are working through some of our enterprise customers, like the HRIS access, because that, you know, that's like the full story. And happy to work with you, Alan, if you want to, you know, be in the beta on that.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure he will. I'll send you his contact information. I'm volunteering him because I know Alan. He loves technology.
Cool. Hi, Alan.
So, quick question. So, we were talking about this really briefly in our pre-call, but I want to hear what you're going to say about it. So, team science at Google. You said you were at Google learning more about it. What did you learn?
Yeah, so just to give perspective, they have 9 work behavior PhDs that just read like team science all day and then run A/B tests on Google's people to like test it. So in like a lunch, I ate more food than I ever ate and learned more than I ever learned about team science. But some of the things are obvious, but some are less. Like high performers will stay much longer if you give internal mobility to them, and then your own hiring managers are biased against internal mobility. And I gave you the example of like there was one hiring manager that insisted they needed to hire from outside the company, and then they just took one of his employees' resumes and changed the name, and that was it. And he was like, it made it not Google, obviously. He was like, we must have this person, and they're like, that's your employee in Chicago, you know what I mean? So there's that. There was one of our things we were obsessed with, and this is a whole other webinar, but is hiring people in teams, actually. So hiring 2 or 3 people from a company at once. And they found that if there's 2 people in a team that have previously worked together in a team, like the product success there is like 100x than if they start the team without people that had worked previously together. And like if one of those people drop, the initial 2 people that had worked together previously, the team performance goes down. Another, you can read about this, is they doubled referral bonuses from 2,000 to 4,000, and they didn't actually get any more hires from referrals. They got more referrals, but they weren't quality. So they did other things like recognition and improved it from 25 to 40%. Another thing on diversity, which is interesting, and we didn't get to talk about diversity, I wish we had.
Oh, the second you said it, I was like, damn.
That there's like a team form. This is in high performing like engineering and creative teams. There's like a team forming part, and actually, until the team has reached a place of trust, actually introducing diversity can actually be negative to the team. This is Google is saying, but once you've gotten to a point of trust, introducing diversity is always, positive to the team. So I thought that was interesting, and I could just tell you more and more things because it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff that they do over there, and they're lucky that they have this platform where they can do actually scientific A/B tests on people.
We're happy to share these studies too with like anyone that.
No, these are like internal.
Well, I mean, like,
studies.
Send me what you got,
Yeah.
and I'll make sure we get it into some Recruiting Daily posts for sure. So we just ran out of time. Just like every week, Recruiting Live flies by. 30 minutes. Everybody who's on the line, if you want to check out their product, we actually have a few people saying, I'm signing up for a demo right now. So that's the only reason I'm saying this out loud. Tell them the website, tell them what they can do to get more information.
Yeah, sure. It's Teamable, T-E-A-M, like team, able, .com, /recruiting to sign up, and you'll do a demo with one of us or one of our few other salespeople, and happy to connect to about this stuff. Like people that sign up and show up for these things, I'm always interested in networking with, because it's this self-selecting people that are pushing the bar forward. So my personal email is laura@teamable.com, and his is Pukar, Pukar @teamable.com, and feel free to reach out to any of us directly, and happy to have a conversation with everyone on this thing. Oh, one last thing we found: referral percentage of hires is not correlated to referral bonus going up.
There you go. And I have to give a little kudos to both of these guys. Like, anytime I email them, I know they're crazy busy. Anytime I message them, they get right back to me, help me out with anything I need. And they have a ton of information just based on being great listeners. You're both awesome listeners. You're awesome people. I'm so glad you came here today. Thank you, thank you. The recording will be live by this afternoon. I'll make sure and share it with everyone who's on the line and everyone else. And for those of you still on, I want to let you know that next week, I don't know why I did this, but it's my birthday, and so I've asked Steve Levy to come on and interview me. So I'm going to be the guest. Exactly. I'm going to be the guest, and he's going to interview me again. I don't know why, but I've decided to do this, so I hope you'll join us. Same time, same place. 1 o'clock Eastern on Friday. Thank you both again, and we'll see you all soon.
That's bold. Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.